Hi, welcome back to Curious by Nature. My name is Seth Harper. I'm the manager of horticulture here at the Peggy Notebaert Nature Museum, and that means my job is to take care of everything green here on the grounds. Today we're going to take a walk and look at some of the most important species that we're growing. So come on, let's take a look. The Peggy Notebaert Nature Museum is the museum of the Chicago Academy of Sciences. When we moved from our old home in Lincoln Park up to this location, we were given a piece of land around it, and we had to decide what to do with it. We wanted to be able to represent different Illinois habitats on the grounds, so we began a prairie restoration back in the mid-2000s, and this is what you see of it today. It's called the Elizabeth Plotnick Tallgrass Prairie. Then in around 2010, we had a grant for creating this, what we call the nature trails, which is a pathway leading all around the building through different habitats, through the tallgrass prairie, and then over to the bur oak savanna, and then finally the black oak savanna. Today we're going to take a walk through the tallgrass prairie and the black oak savanna. We're going to get started here in the prairie. A prairie is a grassland habitat, and as such there are very few trees, if any. Our prairies here are dependent on fire to remain open, and because of those fires there's a great diversity of plant life that thrives in a prairie that won't thrive anywhere else. One of the most prominent flowers in the tallgrass prairie is this compass plant. Compass plants are called that because theoretically the leaves align in a north-south direction, although as you can see from this specimen, I don't think I'd want to try and find my way home with it. Many flowers in a prairie have this basic shape, a daisy-like flower, and then many of them are yellow, and so they become a little hard to tell apart. But these are all very important flowers because they're prominent sources of nectar for various pollinators, including butterflies and bees. This is a compass flower cut in half, and as you can see, there's a lot going on here. All of these separate parts are actually tiny flowers, complete in themselves. On the outside, you have what are called the ray flowers. Here's an example. Oop, fell apart. This is a complete flower, but it looks like just one petal. In the inside are what we have called the disc flowers. The ones here in the center have not opened yet. Here the ones around the outer edge have. Sometimes in composites there are only ray flowers or there are only disc flowers. This is an example of a classic composite flower with both. This plant is called big blue stem. The tallgrass prairie is named for several species of grass which are very predominant, and many of them are quite tall, and this one in particular, big blue stem, can get up around 6 feet tall. This is the inflorescence. You can see the flowers are just starting. The big blue stem has these flower stalks that kind of split like this and end up looking almost like a bird's foot, and so sometimes this plant is called turkey foot. Big blue stem is a very fire tolerant grass, and the reason for that is grasses sprout from the base and grow upward, and with big blue stem and other prairie grasses, that base is actually a couple inches under the ground, so fire races over top and the new grass can shoot up immediately afterwards. Most prairie fires happen in the spring, and at this time the grasses are at their driest and fire can carry through the prairie quickly. This is what helps keep prairies open, and by burning so easily, these grasses keep down other vegetation that might compete with them. Big blue stem is also very tolerant of dryness, and in fact it has a special metabolic pathway that helps it use less water. And because of that, it thrives in the late summer. You won't even recognize it at the beginning of the year in the prairie, but at this time of year it's really becoming prominent. Another common feature of eastern prairies are plants in the mint family, such as bee balm. These plants tend to be very important nectar sources. They all rely on insect pollination. You can tell plants in the mint family, for one thing, they tend to have a scent into their leaves. They also will have typically square stems instead of round, and flowers will be arranged in a circle, often around the stem itself. Tallgrass prairie as an ecosystem is very unique. It's unique to this part of the world. There are many grassland ecosystems all over the world, but this particular one is native to here. It's a little unique because the prairies in the Midwest, especially towards the eastern half, are in areas that actually have enough rainfall to support larger plants such as trees and shrubs, but they remain open due to natural fires, due to grazing animals, and especially due to the efforts of Native Americans who used this land extensively, both for game and for agriculture, and they used fire as a tool for those ends. Right now we're standing in our black oak savanna here at the Nature Museum. Savannas are a unique ecosystem that represents a transition between woodland and prairie. On a savanna, you'll have an open country dotted with trees, and too many trees close together, you're back in the woodland, and too many trees too far apart, you're back in prairie. The savanna is in between. Fire is also important in savannas. It helps maintain the open spaces between trees. And because fires are fairly frequent in the savanna, only the most fire tolerant of trees can survive. The most important of these are the black oaks and the bur oaks. Bur oak is the most important savanna tree in our area. It's the most fire-resistant tree due to the thick corky bark. It's a member of the white oak family, or the white oak group. You can tell the white oak group because the leaves have rounded lobes and do not have a bristle at the tip of any of the lobes. The acorns of the bur oak, these are just starting to develop, but you can see that the acorn cap itself covers almost the entire acorn. Because of that, these are sometimes called overcup oaks. So we've seen the bur oak. This is a black oak. Black oaks are the other main important savanna tree in this area and in the entire Midwest region. Black oak savannas are much rarer than bur oak savannas, and we're very fortunate to have a black oak savanna recreation here on the grounds. Black oaks thrive in sandy soil where many other species do not, and they're also reasonably fire tolerant. So in very sandy areas, particularly near the lake shores, you'll see black oak savannas develop. The area we're standing on is the hill in front of the Nature Museum, and as you can see here, this is very sandy soil. In fact, this is a remnant sand dune. The shore of Lake Michigan is right over there at the harbor. Everything you see beyond it is actually built when Lakeshore Drive was built out there. So this used to be the very shore of Lake Michigan, and you can see here where a sand dune formed. A sand dune like this will slowly be covered and turn to woodland, but it may take 500 years for that to happen, and black oaks would be a big part of that process starting. One of the most important vegetative features of our local savannas are sedges. Sedges form much of the grass-like ground cover of savannas, and they are grass-like, but they are not grasses. And here you see the inflorescence on this particular sedge. Another common plant of savannas is the staghorn sumac. This is what we call a pioneer species. A pioneer species is one of the first species to arrive and colonize the land after disturbance, such as flood, fire, or human interference. This sumac is part of a large colony that is actually all clonal. It's all one plant. The sumac sprouts and then sends lateral roots through the ground, and new shoots come up all around it, forming an ever-expanding colony. As the colony ages, it begins to flower, and the younger shoots will produce male flowers, such as these. These are all dried up at this point. And older plants towards the middle, or older shoots towards the middle, will form female flowers, such as these here. This plant is great for a natural beverage. Just take the fruit and soak it overnight in cold water, sweeten it, and you'll have a drink sort of like lemonade. Another plant that you can find here on the grounds of the museum, or in a prairie, a savanna, or just about anywhere, is common milkweed. Common milkweed is the food source of most importance to monarch butterflies. Their caterpillars eat the leaves of various species of milkweed, but common milkweed is their preferred host. Milkweed flowers are also an important important source of nectar for large bees and for butterflies. The common milkweed is one of many species we have here in Illinois, but it's also a common species of disturbed areas, vacant lots, etc. Thanks for joining us. I hope you had a good time on our tour of the grounds. Leave any questions you have in the comments below. We'll see you next time.